So I'm Jacob Osae. I'm a science fiction and fantasy author. I am a STEM enthusiast. I love everything about science. I'm a STEM instructor or science educator. Mostly that's what I do, and mostly I'm also a creative person. I do a lot of writing and like have 4 books working on my 5th book coming up this weekend. So that's who I am. Also, I write science fiction and fantasy novels. It's actually something I started doing in 2020. 2020, I launched my first science fiction and fantasy novel titled The Raven. I was quite inspired by a lot of writings by great writers, and I felt as a science person it was needful to have stories about science because there's so many young people out there who need these stories, but then there's not so much on our market, not so much stories about science. So I thought, let me try and fix this emptiness by writing science stories. For someone who has a scientific background, it wasn't so difficult for me. And so far, I'm so excited that many people have reached out saying that it's actually something that is inspiring them to be better versions of themselves. Yes, so science fiction and fantasy because I think it's high time. Like it's something that is needful in our educational system. It's needful in our creative space. Yeah, because I feel science should not be, or science should not end in a classroom. Science has the ability to transform our nation, and one of the ways we can actually achieve that is to let people see how science can actually solve most of the problems we have. And to be able to do that is by unveiling people to the possibilities, and that's what I do as a writer. I tell scientific stories. I tell people what the theories they learned in school are capable of, how we can solve problems with the scientific theories. So that's why I write science fiction. I feel it has a key to solving most of the myriad of problems we face here in Africa. Yeah. Yeah, so the reception for science fiction has been quite, mind-blowing actually. Initially I was like not so many people actually receive me writing science fiction, but then it turned out to be mind-blowing. And like I said earlier, I feel people are tired with conventional way of storytelling, like boring storytelling about a family, relationship, sexual morality, adolescent reproductive health, witchcraft. That's mostly the themes of the storytelling we tell here in Africa. And the question is, how does this storytelling shape the minds of people to be problem solvers? It's important that we tell stories to entertain people, but then there are more important things that we ought to look at in regards to, storytelling. I feel storytelling should train people to be problem solvers. And that's why science fiction is necessary, because it gives people the ability to think critically, think problem solving, think innovatively, and think ingeniously. So something new and fresh is coming up on the continent of Africa, and I call it creative brilliance approach. The old ways will give way to something new, because this was needful for Africa. My vision for writing science fiction is to inspire a new generation of young people, old people, or the general public to be creative, to be ingenious, innovative, with regards to what we find ourselves doing. So like the question is, I want people who are always thinking about how we can make life better for each other, how we can create opportunities for each other, how we can fix the issue of poverty, how we can increase the standard of living in our country. These are very important questions that I feel we should ask or talk about, because that's how we can transform our nation and make life better from each individual. Yeah, so I attended senior high school in Accra Academy Senior High School. Then I studied general science, so that was the foundation. And later I entered the University of Ghana, Legon, and I studied physics, maths, computer science. And in Accra Academy I was writing, but then in University of Ghana I explored or expounded my writing. So that's why all this happened. But then the science fiction started after school. That in 2018, that's where I wrote most of the scripts that are published so far. Okay, so apart from writing, I'm a science instructor. I instruct young people in physics in a very prestigious senior high school here in Ghana. And I also mostly do seminars and conferences, workshops to train young people in the art of storytelling and writing. I can say I'm a spiritual person. That also depends on what you mean by spiritual. But I believe I've done a lot of reading, so I look at the context of spirituality in regards to what man is. According to anthropology, man is made of spirit, soul, and body, and such combination cannot be lightly overlooked. Meaning, man has a spirit, has a soul, lives in a body. So that element of spirituality is because we have a spirit, and it's very important to also pay attention to that particular aspect of our lives, because that's actually our true essence. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not married. But then I can't really have so much conversation in regards to my relationship status. But then I'm not married and I'm not looking for any person. But then it's something that is well secured. Yeah, so I am okay with where I am and who I'm with. Yeah. So my new book is titled DNA Origins. So DNA Origins is a story about family. It's a story about a man and a woman who are on the quest or the expedition, adventure to discover what is causing them to have supernatural abilities in themselves and also in their children. So that's what the novel is about. It's going to be launched this Saturday, 29th of April at 1 p.m. at the new Assembly Auditorium, Presec Legon, and everybody is invited. Let's come around. Invited for this book launch, and let's all come around and be a part of this momentous occasion in the history of Ghanaian science education. Jacob Osae is available on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. You just Google my name and you go follow me on all the social media platforms. You have any questions, you have anything you'd like to discuss or talk about, I'm always ready and available to have conversations. Send me a message and I'll reach out as soon as possible.